Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. This is Nicole Spohr, and today we're going to be creating this Rainbow Village Christmas card with brand new Hero Arts Winter Catalog 2020 stamps and dies. I always look forward to the Hero Arts winter release catalog, and it is a good one. Everything I'm using here today is brand new. The background stamp, the sentiment stamp, and the awesome village. We're going to start with the Snowflake Swirl Bold Prints background that I am going to stamp on some smooth white cardstock with blue Hawaii reactive ink. I am a huge fan of the Hero Arts reactive inks. They are reactive, meaning they will react with water, but we're just going to straight stamp with them today. I also love them for stamping, blending, all kinds of things. I did not ink up the entire thing, and that's because part of this, in fact, a great deal of it, is actually going to be covered up with our village. So I'm just going to stamp about 3/4 of the panel with the ink. Now, this stamp has not been inked before, and I did stamp it multiple times. I'm using the MISTI because that way I can stamp it. If it doesn't have full coverage the first time, you can always restamp it until you get it looking the way you want. I did 3 times. Look how beautiful that is. I love this background stamp. Hero Arts does amazing bold prints backgrounds. Next, we're going to take some smooth white cardstock that I've already trimmed to 4 1/4 inches wide, and we're going to stamp, or pardon me, die cut the great little village here 3 times. And I went ahead and used 3 different panels to die cut each of these. This is the Tri-Fold Edge Village Fancy Die. And I'm going to stack them on my card to create a little village. There's so many ways you can do this. You could do the village silhouetted. You could do it all in white. Whatever you want to do. I'm die cutting mine all from white, but you guys know me. I love color. We're going to color in these little houses with Copic markers. While this might seem like maybe kind of a daunting task, this is actually one of the fastest cards I've made in a while. It's really easy. There's minimal product. All you need is 1 ink color. I used blue Hawaii for the background and the sentiment, and some Copics, or whatever your favorite coloring medium might be. Copics were super quick and easy. I would just grab my favorite rainbow color combinations, my kind of tried and true colors that I always use, and set to coloring. Put on some good music, a movie, an audiobook, something like that, and just color. And it is so much fun. But I laid them out in white there. You can see even in white they look really amazing. I will tell you, I did not inlay all the windows or doors. Yes, I did do the doors. I'm sorry. I did not inlay all the windows. I did keep the doors. I kind of just kept a stack of them. Wasn't super duper careful about keeping them in order. It's pretty easy to see how they go back together. So when I die cut them, I did keep those and any of the trees that die cut all the way out. This is very much on purpose because I really wanted to inlay the trees back in. And as I get to the end of creating and coloring in my borders, I did decide to inlay in the doors. So you will see that I did all of that off camera. As far as the coloring of the doors, I just would do a contrasting color so it would show up, but I think it makes a big difference. You could totally do the windows if you want to. I opted not to because there's a lot of windows and that seemed like a lot more work than I wanted to do for this card, and I didn't really feel like it needed it. But I'm going to start with the background and we're just going to color in these cute little houses and buildings. So most of it is like houses or apartment buildings, some bare branch trees, some little pine trees, and there's even a church, which I love. That's going to be on the middle border. Across the top of the screen, I have listed the colors I am coloring with as I'm coloring. So for easy reference, you can find that information there. There is a link in the box under the video here on YouTube that takes you to my blog post that coordinates with this project. And I have also listed all of these colors out on my blog post, which might be a nice reference for you if you're wondering at any time what color I'm using, as it's not going to fly by on the screen quite as quickly. I did leave the coloring in. I know a lot of you mentioned that you do like the coloring portion of this. This is a very coloring heavy card. Simple background stamping, simple die cutting, and then some coloring, a little bit of embellishing, and that is it. I always love a card that comes together kind of how I imagined in my mind. I knew when I got these Village fancy dies that I was going to want to color them in some way, and I love a little rainbow even at Christmas time, and I think it's bright and colorful and fun. Any crafty friend, anyone would love to get a happy little card like this. Maybe you don't need a holiday card. You could totally change this up to work for just a winter season maybe. Change out that sentiment for something else. That would be really cute as well. Any little windows that did not pop out when they die cut, those little spaces sometimes, or little pieces sometimes stick. I'm just using a Spellbinders tool-in-one to pop those out. I kind of left them in while I was coloring. If it didn't make too much of a difference, it worked pretty well. You will notice I did color over some of the doors. At this time, I wasn't super set on keeping the doors. I thought I wouldn't keep the windows or the doors. I kept them off camera or on my work surface, but I didn't really actively color or worry about coloring around them. So if they were stuck in the building, I just colored them. And so when I went to color in the doors, in order not to have to re-die cut anything, I had to color over a couple of them, which wasn't a huge deal. I just picked either, let's say the door was pink, I colored over it in red, or something along those lines, just something that I could color over that wouldn't change the color a whole lot. I absolutely love this church with the cross up on the steeple there. So pretty. We'll just finish coloring in everything on the second row. And don't worry about having to be too perfect down near the base of the buildings. My big concern when I first colored these was trying to make it look like it's a snowy border without having to die cut another border, stamp anything. And ultimately what I decided was this is a fairly flat card. We've got our background, we've got 3 layers, yes, but nothing is popped up. It's all fairly flat. And so I thought, what can I do to embellish this so that it has more interest? And ultimately I decided to add some little glitter along the edge. Not only will it disguise any imperfect coloring, but it will give it that kind of snowy look, adds a little pop of sparkle, which I always love. There is our second border all colored in. It's coming together. Now I did use all 3, but you can see how 2 of them would look super cute as is. And you could even stamp maybe a bigger sentiment down there along the bottom edge. You could mix and match these in lots of different ways. And they can be used as a trifold. Did not assemble them as such, but I think there's so many fun techniques that could be used with this set. We're going to quickly color in the rest of our little houses. This is going to be the border in the forefront of our card. Now, once we have these colored in, and this border actually has the two trees that popped all the way out. I think the back border had one, yes, in the little purple house, and then this one has, gosh, I think it might have 3 trees in it. So lots of trees in this second border, pine trees. There's the bare branch trees in each of the borders, which I love too. But we want to make sure we color those in so we can inlay those into that front border. The perfect little spot for our sentiment is going to be that bottom right corner of this layer. I purposely made sure when I die cut this that I die cut it high enough or low enough, as the case may be, but high enough that it's going to fit Merry Little Christmas. I picked the sentiment I wanted to use before I die cut. If you want to use something that maybe is a little bit bigger or longer, whatever that might be, that's going to kind of change. If you're going to use this border, it will change where you want to, how high you want to cut that on your panel. Got just another little house, and then we can go ahead and take this border. I'm going to place it in my MISTI because I'm going to use the same color of ink that I used for the sky. And I find, again, I'm using a stamp I've never stamped before. I did stamp this more than once. I stamped it about 3 times, I believe, just to make sure it's a super nice, crisp, and not faded anywhere stamped greeting. And the Merry Little Christmas just looks so cute with this little village. I love how it turns out. Just going to kind of remove a couple of those layers. We only need to keep the layer we're stamping in the background. The MISTI makes this so easy. This is from the Comfort and Joy Messages stamp set. Fantastic new stamp set from the winter catalog. I love all the sentiments in this stamp set. If you're looking for a new nice basic sentiment Christmas stamp set, this one is fantastic. We have our sentiment. Let's put together our background and add our embellishing. I'm going to start with the background panel. I only put adhesive back behind the bottom part, not the buildings. If any of them are popping up, I can add a little dab of liquid glue back behind those, but I want to leave them free for now. I'm going to add all 3. And then I'm going to take some little red clay hearts from my stash and have them coming up from the chimney to add a little pop of color in the sky. I love the snowy swirl background. It has a lot going on, but it just adds a nice little pop of color with the little red hearts. And then I'm going to inlay all of the doors. I had already colored in the church door. We're just going to make sure we color and add all of those little pieces in. If anything is sticking up, not laying down flat, any of the little houses, I'm going to add a little dab of Hero Arts Precision Glue back behind those pieces. And then I am going to take my precision glue and draw some little snowy borders along each of these village layers and sprinkle on the icicle glitter. I picked the glitter that's mostly white. There's also a beautiful Prisma glitter that's a little bit more fine. This is a pretty chunky glitter, the icicle glitter. Look how pretty that is. We're going to go ahead and do that for the other 2 layers as well. I'm using a piece of paper back behind here that I folded in half. That's going to serve as a funnel to easily put that glitter back in my little container. And I'm just making sure I draw those lines right along the house edges. Don't want it to be super perfect. In fact, I went back and added a little more glue to a couple of areas to make it a little thicker. I'll just sprinkle on that glitter. We'll let it completely dry. Place this entire panel on a white top fold card base, and our Rainbow Village Christmas card is all finished. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Rainbow Village Christmas card featuring brand new stamps and dies from the Hero Arts 2020 Winter Catalog release. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Hero Arts stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.